Hello, and welcome to SG Squared. Pastor Steve Gladen pulls from over 25 years of small group ministry experience to encourage and equip listeners like you to lead small group ministry. So let's listen and learn together.
Welcome to SG Squared. Steve Gladen on small groups. Derek here as always with the man, Steve Gladen. Steve, how are you doing on this bright and shiny day?
Tell you, everything's new, everything's different, everything is, what it should be, I guess. And so we'll share the context of that whole statement when we get to the breaking news. Hey, this is you're driving the show. What do you want to do first?
Yeah, like Steve just referenced, we have some big breaking news that we're going to share at the end of this episode. So make sure to stick to the very end to hear about Steve's big news. And this is huge news. But to set this up, first, we want to share with you 4 types of groups that every church needs. So Steve, tell us about these 4 types of groups.
Yeah, let me. It's going to be quite the different show because we have such polarity in what's happening, but in some ways, it's somewhat similar. And I know some of you are like going, "I'll just fast forward and get the breaking news, and then if I want to listen to the show, I will." But I would encourage you. Part of the show was birthed out of my breaking news and re-looking at what are the types of groups that a church has to have. And I'll preface this in one way. The overarching theme of every person on staff should be understanding that most people, not all, most people that are visiting your church come to your website and then come to your physical location. Our job on staff behind the lead pastor is to make sure that the second step out of the weekend is one that fits where they are at developmentally so that they can stick and we can meet them where they're at and take them to where they need to go. Now, with that as a little bit of a backdrop, some of you may be groups pastors that are only focusing on the spiritual formation aspect of your church. Others of you may be in different aspects of what we're going to talk about, the different types of groups. And then some of you are overseeing the whole thing. To give you context behind this, when I was at Saddleback and on staff at Saddleback with Rick, and then, when Rick transitioned with Andy, I was predominantly just overseeing the discipleship-based small groups. Now, there are other types of groupings of people, but I would only oversee one aspect of it. Some of you that are at a different church, you may be in a free market church or a different type of language, you're going to be overseeing a specific or really all of the groups. So let's just get into it. It'll make more sense as we roll through, but let's jump right in and let me just go to the first type of group. And how I'm going to set this up is share with you what the primary engagement is in each type of group, what their felt need is, and the team that is generally going to be responsible for that typing of group. So Derek, why don't I just jump in and I'll go into the first one, which is the one that we most know about. And that is groups that primarily focus on discipleship or spiritual formation. These are what a lot of us say would be typical small groups where the Bible is looked at and prayer is offered and we're just, building community and helping people out. The people that are in this type of group, their primary engagement or what they are looking for, or our primary engagement is spiritual growth. We want to see them become better followers of Jesus. Now, what their primary felt need, the felt need that they come with, is that they're looking to fill a spiritual void that they have. They understand that they are a broken being. They are looking for a spiritual aspect of life. They understand it. Some people turn to cults for this. Some people turn to sports for this. Some people turn to alcohol for this. There's many things that people try to either numb or search out. But these are people, there is a spiritual void. And as you know, that when the fall of mankind happened in Genesis with Adam and Eve, there was a breaking of the relationship between God and man. And this is what caused a spiritual void. Now, generally, the team that is responsible for this is what we would call the small groups team or the life group team or the name that your church uses with it. And inside this team, you generally have six types of groups. You have men's, women's, couples, singles, online, workplace. But all of them, no matter what the affinity is, they're all trying to raise the spiritual depth of the church, getting people that are better followers of Christ. So that is the first type of group that you're most familiar with on this channel. But what I want to do is help break down to make sense of the other three. Derek, color commentary to that or rebuking?
No, it's I think back to some of the small groups I've been a part of, and of course, fellowship, I'm sure we're going to talk about that, is key. But yeah, coming away from a small group where you are growing spiritually and meeting those felt needs is critical and really life changing. So it's a type of group every church needs.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point because all four of these types of groups we're going to be talking about, there is a component of where fellowship is happening, and it can go to different levels depending on where the leader is at and what they're doing. But predominantly in these discipleship groups we were just talking about is where you're going to find the authentic community, where it's more than just hey, we're just going to do something together and then be gone from each other. But there's a place where you can take life a lot deeper because it's much more concentrated, but not disclosing that no fellowship does happen on the other ones we're going to be talking about.
So that was the group type number one. Let's jump to number two. What do we got?
Yeah, another type of group that is out there, and your primary engagement with these people is serving. These are people that are exercising their spiritual giftedness, and they are wanting to make the weekend happen. They'll be volunteering all over your church, and children's and students. These are adults I'm speaking of, and they will be volunteering in your parking ministry or ushers or counting money or landscape ministry or different things that are happening all throughout your church. These people are in groupings of people that will make the weekend happen. Their primary engagement is serving because they're working through their spiritual gift. The felt need that is getting met is they're feeling value. They're feeling the ability to understand that I am bringing something to this kingdom effort that brings me fulfillment because I'm working in my spiritual giftedness, and it helps the kingdom out. And these teams can be called many different things. They can be called your church's oh gosh, what's the engagement one
Serve
that I'm
teams.
yeah, serve teams. They could be be called serve teams. I'm thinking of the one where they're um, first impressions is what I
There
what I
you
was
go.
looking for, the term right there. But they could be first impressions. They could be your serve teams. They may just be called. They may not even be housed on something, but there is a person that understands how to get these people mobilized into serving your church. At Saddleback, this was called our 301 team or our serving team. They would help mobilize people all throughout our church to do that. So this is a grouping of people that is very critical because there are people that want to serve before they grow in the church. And so it's important. This is a great second step out of your church. But what I would say is that the three groupings that we're talking about right now, serving and the two following here, what they are trying to do is trying to meet people where they're at and get them to a discipleship group where they can be able to grow more like Christ and find they may not understand they have a spiritual void, but whether they know it or not, they do have one that only that discipleship group can fulfill.
It's so funny how God wires everybody differently. Like you got some people and families that are looking to join a group, even if it's a group of strangers. Then
Yeah.
you've got people who that idea might scare them, but man, they just want to jump in and serve. And they're kind of unofficially in a small group and they don't even realize it. So,
Yeah.
um,
And you want to meet, like I said, this is a classic line. We want to meet them where they're at. But we know that for them to last the long haul, they've got to become more a follower of who Jesus is. And it's a great place for non-believers to jump. I mean, a lot of times churches throw people who don't even know Jesus, in the front lines of being, a greeter or in the parking lot or something like that, that are just, if you can smile, you can make something work.
well said. Well said. That was number two. And now let's jump to number three.
Yeah, and these groups understand that your primary engagement is causation. And what their felt need is they're wanting to make a difference. A lot of times this is in millennials or Gen Z. There's a great opportunity for them. They feel a need to help the planet, help the surroundings of their community. They want to do something. This might be your missions team or your local outreach team that is doing this. They're getting groupings of people that are serving locally or serving globally, and what they're looking to do is have causation met. What you're helping them to do is mean where their felt need is, and that is they want to make a difference. And so, again, I correlate back to Saddleback. This was our missions team, which handled all of our local and global opportunities to serve the communities that every one of our campuses were at, and also be able to serve the planet and reach out. And so, there are people out there that have causation in mind, but they may not be looking for spiritual growth. But what you're trying to do is say, I want to help your spiritual formation out. So, what I want to do is, again, I want to meet you where you are, and I want to help you get that second step out of the weekend. If you come to the weekend service and you go, man, I have a bone in me that wants to do causation stuff, then I want to help meet you where that's at and send you out.
So, we are talking about the four types of groups that every church needs. We've hit you with number one, number two, number three. And are we saving the best for last year, Stephen, number four?
Well, I don't know if it's the best for last, but it's a reality part of our communities that I hope all our churches are engaging in. And these are people that their primary engagement, what they need is support. And their felt need is they need vitalization. They have experienced trauma in some way, and they are the hurting that come to your church. Um, at Saddleback, we had a team that was working on pastoral care and recovery. And these people are looking for a group that is so necessary because they are broken. They either need a support group or they need a recovery group that will help them knit their lives back together and put them back in the game so that they can make a difference for who Christ is. And why this grouping of people is so important and for you to understand is that many times in the group world or in church systems, you're going, I want you to come to the weekend. I want you to get in a group where you are growing spiritually in your spiritual formation. And then I want you to serve God with where you're gifted. And many times the causation people and the serving people fit that bucket. But if you're going through trauma, and this is very important for you to understand as a groups pastor, if you meet a person who's going through trauma, the last place you want to do is put them in any one of the three types of groups that is being talked about. They need to be in a place where they can heal. So we'd want these people to be in a care recovery group, and we'd want them to be able to get the healing that they need, but still engage with the weekend. So when you're looking at these four typings of groups, you'll predominantly have groups that are working on spiritual formation, groups that are serving, groups that are causation in their being of local or global missions, and people that need care and recovery. Each one of these groupings of people are excellent at helping people take a second step out of the weekend. But if the serving groups and the causation groups and the care and recovery groups don't understand how they fit in making disciples happen, what can happen is that you get a very disjointed strategy in your church. And I lay this out to you that some of you may be responsible for all four types of those groups, and you'll need to know how they fit in and what you're going to do. Or you may be only running a singular lane. You may go, I'm overseeing care and recovery, pastoral care and recovery for people, finding support groups in recovery. If you're running in a single lane of any one of these groups, or if you're overseeing all of them or one of them, like I said before at the top of the show, is that I predominantly oversaw all the groups where it was predominantly working with discipleship. And so there's nothing wrong or right about that, but it was important for me leading the charge to work with our care and recovery, with our missions team and our serving team to understand how they fit in our church overall system. And so that's why I wanted to present this to you, because we will throw in the show notes the four types of groups that we're talking about, and just want you to be able to look at that and be able to say, okay, where do I fit? And is my church all in alignment for where we want to go?
So there you have it, everybody. The four types of groups that every church needs. We hope that little equipping really helped you and helps to build your groups in some new way. And now on to the big news, the breaking news that Steve is about to share. Steve, hit us.
Well, if you haven't been on social media, if you haven't looked over the last number of weeks, Lisa and I have taken a new role. And part of when we left Saddleback Church, it was to bolster up the small group network. And part of it is that we've been able to build that up, where we have a couple people that we were able to bring on, but it just wasn't the right timing where we were at financially for an organization to bring me on. So unfortunately, I'm not independently wealthy, so I needed a day job. And so what I started doing was doing consulting and coaching. And as I was doing that, one of the things I learned about myself is I can do consulting, I can do coaching, but what I really am wired to do, and this was so important for me to figure out, is I'm wired for the local church. I love the local church. I love doing it. And so what my prayer was is, Lord, where's the right local church, that the door that you're opening up, and one that is very pro the small group network and wants to embody both those things. And so part of where God opened the door, and this is so bizarre because this was not on our bingo card, but as I was starting to consider doing some coaching for a church in outside of Jackson, Mississippi, a church called Pine Lake Church. Amazing church, runs about 22,000. It has 5 campuses, just doing an incredible work. But what they wanted to do was shore up their discipleship arm in through their small groups. They'd read my books, and we as I was there a number of times, it just became clear that these are people I would love to do life with. There's a lot of connotations with the state of Mississippi. I'm not saying that they're all not well justified or needed, but part of what I was excited about with this church is that they want to make a difference through the whole state. And that, as you know, is many, many different facets to it, from, the people that God has put throughout that state and ministering to that, and just helping it grow and become better followers of Christ. So through a lot of prayer, and I tell you, when Lisa was born and raised in Burbank, California. I've been in California since I was 21, uh, which was what, 10 years ago, you think, Derek?
Oh, just 20 years ago.
That even sounds great. But what God did was He was opening a door. And what's interesting is we just not too long ago passed Ascension Day and Pentecost Sunday, and our Pentecost. And what we learn is that we are fresh off a few thousand years ago when Jesus was talking to a handful of disciples, and giving the Great Commission that we know so well. Baptize, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And we realize that that word go is don't go where you feel like going. Don't go what is comfortable for you. Don't go because, it fits into what you thought was going to be your next step, but you just go. And as crazy as it sounds, this is one of those opportunities where both Lisa and I just said, hey, if you'd have called us to Eastern Europe, if you'd have called us to the Pacific Rim, if you'd have called us to Latin America or to Africa, we'd have gone. Just hands down, we would have gone. And sometimes, when you're in the West Coast, you can feel like, the Deep South is completely a different country. But the point is that the older I get, it's more about who I do ministry with than where I do ministry and the type of church. And so it's it's a crazy piece of the journey. It helps the small group network continue to take those steps to develop into the legacy organization that it needs to raise that next gen and help small group point people, all across the world. It is a crazy endeavor. We were a little bit coy with it, but at the time this show was filmed or recorded, I'm in Mississippi. I'm going to be there for commuting back and forth for a little bit while we deal with logistical pieces with our house. And so it is crazy, but yet so refreshing to say, God, if you open the door, we're walking through it. And as scary as it can seem sometimes, breaking news. And if you'd have told me you thought Lisa and I were going to land in Mississippi, I want to talk to you because I want to find out what kind of lotto numbers you're thinking about.
Wow, well, there's the breaking news. And I know I speak for a lot of people when I say congratulations, Steve. We're excited for you. And, this is just part of life, and especially a part of ministry is these changing seasons, leadership changes at churches, seasons change at churches. But God can do something new and incredible in those new seasons. And I think you're going to thrive there. From what little you've told me about this new situation. So, and hey, you might even become an SEC college football fan.
Yeah, with that, I could say heck no, and I wasn't thinking heck, but it is funny. They are very much evangelists for that form of a college football organization, and so it's they bleed deep in the SEC, but bring a little bit of the Big Ten to them. So happy to do that because that's what Jesus would do. So here it comes.
Which team is closer to your church, Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
They're almost equal distance apart, really. One is to the northeast and one is to the dead north.
Well, you
And
got two new
so,
teams then. There you go.
yeah, it's kind of cool how the church strategically put a campus in Oxford and where Old Miss is at, and in Starksville, where Mississippi State is at. And they also have a campus in Clinton where one of the largest community colleges is at. So they strategically have been building their campuses, which is kudos to the leadership of Pine Lake and how they were doing that. But it's also interesting that when you see all these rivalries and you see what's happening at one of the services. Gosh, it's been about a month ago. Eric, I even took a picture of it because I know how much you love Oregon. But Chip, the lead, that was very much a sarcastic remark for those of you that don't know Derek, who is a Washington Husky fan. And he has special words for the Oregon team. But I say all that to say is because Chip Henderson, who's the lead pastor at Pine Lake, was doing a story. One of the messages that was about um, one of the people that was there in Mississippi and a story that led him to be with his buddy in community no matter what. And he happened to be seen as a great punter. And he didn't make it for one of the teams there in Mississippi, but Oregon ended up picking him up. And so up on the screen flashes this Oregon Ducks, picture of him.
Oh,
And but it had the Big Ten logo on the bottom, which is why I took a picture of it, as Lisa and I have been watching online till we physically are here. So it's crazy, man. So
That must have almost made you want to hurl. I'm kidding.
I did take a picture of it, and then Lisa told me not to send it to you because that wasn't very nice of me.
I love Lisa. Well, we're excited for you and Lisa and your family, and that's the big news. Is there any way people can support you other than prayers and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, just if people are, I still am very entrenched into the small group network. So Steve at smallgroupnetwork.com is still my email that I look at all the time. Also, my cell number will stay the same, 949-836-6052. So a lot of that stays the same. And so Derek and I will continue to be on here. We've got a couple great shows for you coming up in July at the lobby that happened a few weeks ago. I did some raw interviews with two of the most structured people I know, Bill Donahue and Ron Kelleher, both who have written books. And we'll be dropping those episodes to you in the month of July so that Derek and I can have a little bit of a breathing room, but we'll be back in August and helping you out and serving you in special new ways. Have some great announcements in August for the small group network and some things that are coming up in the fall that I hope you'll be a part of if you're all access. So lots of teasers out there, but good stuff. And we're excited to just continue on. But appreciate the prayers. Thanks so much, Derek, for the kind words. And so we will just continue to march on ahead. And if God brings you through Jackson, Mississippi, look me up, It's not quite SoCal, but, we'll get there.
There you go. Well, there is Steve's big breaking news. So keep him in your prayers and his family in your prayers. And there are your 4 types of groups every church needs. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We hope this episode encouraged you and equipped you to lead better, healthier, smaller groups. And until next time, we will see you soon.
God bless everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to go deeper and get more resources or join the small group network, just head over to smallgroupnetwork.com. We'll see you next time.